still light, I just looked through the patio window and have a guess what I saw. Nice to see the hedgehog in the garden last night. That was then. This is now. I've just arrived and I'm on a small pond, flicking the bait out, put the rod down. I'm trickling in a few loose maggots and of course a few prawns as well. Been here a while and I was beginning to think, is there a pike in the swim? Because I did see a scattering of small fish at one stage. However, I'm not a blanker, even though it's just a small... Oh, my glasses have just dropped off my nose into the water, even though it's just a small perch. Right, let's fish the glasses out, shall we? Fortunately, it's just shallow. Probably true to say that the perch have moved in, because as soon as I cast out again, the float went. A bigger fish this time, hence I can hold that one up to the camera. Beautiful, aren't they? Perch. And if they are your favourite species like they're mine, then you understand why I get excited about them. It goes back. It's a lovely sound, isn't it? The water coming off the fish. And even better when it flicks its tail and disappears into the deeps. Well, 2 feet. You probably won't be able to hear it because it is some distance away, but there's a very vocal muntjac, perhaps 300-400 yards even. It's difficult to say, but I can hear it quite clearly. I do love nature, and I think a lot of us as anglers engage with the natural world, don't we? And I've often said that fishing is the perfect platform from which to engage with the natural world. And while I've been here, I've seen a kingfisher, 1 sighting so far, likewise a grey wagtail. Thrushes, both song and missile, inhabit this particular area, so you hear those singing as well. Always great, aren't they? Not so common now, of course, especially song thrushes. When I was young, you would see them in the garden all the while. Now, they're not in the gardens as they used to be. In fact, where I live, although we've got a good head of song thrushes in the valley itself, in the woodland itself, and the meadows around it, I haven't seen one in the garden in almost 4 years of living there now. I've seen them from the garden because we've got the lane at the bottom, and with the binoculars I can spot them there, but they don't venture into the gardens themselves. That muntjac's still going. I'm sure a lot of people hear them and just think it's a dog because they bark. And if you go onto YouTube and type in muntjac barking, you'll be able to hear the sound. And I've spoken with a few people. In fact, people have made comments when I've mentioned this on my videos, that they didn't realise that all the time they thought it was a dog. It was actually a muntjac. I go through the tackle in more detail in the blog post, but small waggler, and then just a couple of feet beneath that, the prawn on a size 10 hook. Very simple approach, which pretty much sums up my angling anyway. Don't complicate things and only start to tinker if you need to. Keep things nice and simple, and if it works, what more can you ask for? That's the best way to hook any fish. Easily taken out there. You can do that by hand, never mind needing a disgorger or forceps. But as I often say, those are essential items. Always carry them in your tackle bag. Before I shower and change, I'm going to top up the feeding station. It's important, if you feed the birds, make sure it's topped up every single day. One of the things I notice just by walking around and you see into people's gardens is that they don't do that. If you want the birds to keep coming, make sure the food source is always available. And of course, go for the right mix of seeds and nuts and fat, etc. And having a look there, I think that needs a little top up. Fat balls are okay. The nuts, well, they've definitely gone down. So that's what I'm going to replenish. Seeds and nuts. I'm in the garage, and as you can see there, I keep everything inside a green bin. It means that when I top up the feeders from the sacks that are in there, if there is any spillage, it stays within the bin, and every now and then I get the sacks out and then I can empty the bin into the garden, as opposed to getting it all over the garage floor, which of course encourages mice and slugs as well. I do bring a fair share of those in from my fishing trips. So this is what I do. I'm going to put I'm doing this with one hand. It's not easy to film, but you can see what I get up to. Keep it inside the sack, top it up, and there you go, ready to put out in the garden. Choice of seeds is very important, because if you go for something that's cheap, well, they won't get taken. So go for good choice, quality seeds. Also got the nuts down there. I'm going to fill up the nut feeder there. I also keep my brown crumb in here as well, so that there's everything going on. I'm due to get a couple of more sacks of that soon, because at the moment the bin's about half full. It'll be topped up when I get the seed that I need to buy, as well as the brown crumb. But for now, let's get the birds fed. All sorted and ready to go. What I often do as well, because we have a lot of ground feeding birds that don't go on the feeding station itself, I shake some seeds on the ground for those. Always do it early in the morning. It's not left overnight, so that you're not encouraging rats or mice to come in. Although the hedgehog always mops up whatever, if anything, whatever remains on the ground after the birds are finished. It's usually what they've knocked down themselves though.